Today I'm honored to have a conversation with a brother, dear friend, someone I admire, one of Africa's best leaders, Naik, the CEO of TransUnion Africa. How are you, my brother?
Sure, that's a massive introduction. Thank you, Lincoln. No, I'm doing amazingly well. It's great to be here, and it's wonderful to be at the third iteration of this event.
You know, when I think about your journey, it's inspirational because it mirrors a lot of journeys of people who come from our communities, who kind of grow up and make it in the larger world. Can you just share with people your background? Because it's fascinating for me. It's always when I hear you tell it.
Absolutely. So I grew up in apartheid South Africa, in Chatsworth, and I always think about these YouTube Bono songs, and we grew up in a street with no name,
Yeah.
In Road 221 in Chatsworth.
Yeah.
And it's interesting growing up in a place with high levels of poverty, not unlike yourself, and where crime, drugs is the kind of game of the day. And one of the things that I learned growing up, and in fact, this is my talk for today, is how one finds relevancy in the chaos.
Yes.
And it's very interesting, Lincoln. I was born in the year 1976, and I finished high school in 1994, both important years in our democracy.
Wow.
And I always say to people, when I was born in the year 76, it was before the uprising had happened.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you what it was to honor the heroes back in 76. Those leaders led us, right? However, I grew up in a time of no heroes.
Yeah.
I can tell you about poverty. I can tell you about crime. And one of the biggest things about breaking out of our circumstances, I always talk about my mother, the role model.
Yes.
And one of the roles that our mothers played, specifically my mother, she held up the mirror of what would happen if we didn't choose to break out of our circumstance. She showed me the drug addict, the deadly. It sounds negative.
Yeah.
It sounds morbid. But without that compelling provocation, I wouldn't be here today. And in many regards, our parents showed us this narrow road, the non-popular road, is the one that led us to break out of our circumstances, to choose academics over a more popular life, to choose academics to break out. And even today, as I sit here with you, I think about what my mother would say.
Yes.
She would say, are you doing the very best you can? She said, Chatsworth is looking for you to lead the tone, to set the tone for others behind you. So that's the short version. It's a provocation of the challenge we have that's still today in our townships. And more of us, like you and myself, and leaders that you're having here today, we've got to tell people more that it is possible to break out of your circumstance.
That breaking out and through everything you got to varsity with all of the troubles and the challenges and you competing with everybody. Give me a sense again of the lessons that come with having to go through that and emerge from your environment to succeeding and graduating.
Absolutely. I think being successful, it's important to always be, not always euphoric, but to be calm and know that there's a journey.
Yeah.
So I always talk about my parents and my mom specifically, keeping us humble. This is not the end. This is on the journey. So becoming the guy that chose to study really hard when the kids were on the street doing those bad things. Getting to high school and mom says, if you don't work hard, you've got no chance of getting a scholarship. We cannot afford for you to go to university. I think you need somebody, we call these today in business language accountability partners. My mother was the accountability partner. So in one regard, it's very, very clear that the journey is ongoing. You never will see me or you, for that matter, complacent until Africa is a better place for all of us, for my community. Because when I close my eyes, Lincoln, I don't think about the P&L and business success. I think about the legacy that we leave to inspire the communities that we come from. So that's one part. When you talk about the leader I am today, it is very difficult to be a corporate CEO in a country where our GDP growth is super low. unemployment at 32%, massive negativity from the general population. But my fervent belief, like I was taught as a youngster, is that we have the opportunity, Lincoln, to set the tone of belief, right? I feel this compelling thing every morning, whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, to realize that it is a privilege and a blessing to be a CEO in corporate South Africa in a world where we believe and don't like what we see in leaders. We need to show you and myself that it is possible. It can be done. And what you've achieved with Lesaka, what we've achieved at TransUnion, I would like to believe it shows other youngsters like the ones today that they can play a role in the success of Africa. Is it easy? No, it's not. Is it meant to be easy? Absolutely not. We've got to stand up in a very crowded room of negativity, people that don't want to work hard, that want it to be given to them, and realize that Africa will be successful, but only if we step up and want it to be.
Very early on, you saw the opportunities that come with technology to solve a lot of intractable problems in our country and on the continent. Can you expand on that? Because now suddenly more people are talking about it, but you're one of the first people to kind of show this and passionately say, guys, it's not the slogans, right? It's us harnessing the latest technologies, but for a purpose, not for gizmo's sake.
You know, it's a really interesting story. So growing up in Chatsworth, we never had access to most good things. But when I was in Standard 1, so grade 3, Lincoln, it was the first time that the teachers in Chatsworth had access to these green and black monochrome monitors, right? And it was a fleeting moment. But for kids across Chatsworth schools, one day we were told, we're going to take you to the teachers' training center and show you something. And for those few hours on one Saturday, when I was 10 years old, I saw a computer. And, you know, like every Indian mother that wants their son to be a doctor, I chose a different
pharmacist.
path. Or a pharmacist. But it's almost prescribed who you should be growing up. But I saw something, and I'm not sure why, but as a 10-year-old, I said to myself, this is going to be the future. This technology will be our future. So I chose a path very early on against the popular road once again. It says this thing could help Africa be our potential. Now, fast-tracked what I've done over the last decade or two, it is very clear for me as a technologist that technology allows us to leapfrog. Leapfrog what? Unless you worked in this country in the early parts of our democracy, where we had no bridge to connect poor people to the urban city centers, it is technology that helps us leapfrog. Today, I believe in a singular problem, Lincoln, that Africa has to solve: financial inclusion. You know what? It's the same thing you believe at Lesaka. And you know what makes it easier is the power of technology. I was saying to some of the colleagues earlier this morning, the technology and the how is not the point. It's the question that matters. If we can focus on driving the inclusion of 500 million Africans, we're going to figure out the technology. Whether we have the creatives here today or the technologists, the bankers, when we come together, we can concoct recipes to realize that. So as a technologist, I hardly talk about technology now because the how is easier with the advent of AI and all these big companies you have here today as well. We can figure it out. But it's important to realize that Africa's success today, with over 500 million people access to smartphone technology, we can leapfrog the West. You know, the one last thing I'd say about technology is, in Africa, we make up 70% of the world's mobile phone market from a wallet perspective. The way we transact is different to any other continent or region. So we must keep pushing the boundary, Lincoln. In my lifetime and in your lifetime, I believe we can make a dent on the biggest African problem. And I believe it's the technology that is key to our businesses that will make that possible.
One of the things you've always championed as well is data, and how data can make us see those who are unseen today. A few days ago, you did something revolutionary, and you guys announced some work that you guys are doing to give visibility to these masses of people that others don't see. Do you want to maybe elaborate on that? Because I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, you're challenging the status quo. You're not going the path that everybody goes. You're changing course and showing people a different direction.
Absolutely. When I joined TransUnion back in 2017, I told myself I had a really great job before this, but the real difference I can make is to help solve a portion of Africa's biggest problem. Now, in South Africa today, there are 16 million people that have hopes and dreams, specifically from our township economies. They want access to finance. They want access to marry that girl. They want access to that first car. They want enough money to run their small businesses. But their hopes and their dreams are squashed because the way we make decisions can't see them for who they are. Because the rules that we play by aren't the rules of how they live their lives. And one thing we realize that in all the things we do as a historical credit bureau, 125 years of being a bureau, we are enabling the industry to serve a group of people that's the same group of people. Unless you have, we don't want to be serving you. So what we did just a week ago is we tried to figure out, are there ways to identify what we call the unseen population, the 16 million? And by partnering with one of the biggest telcos on the continent, we said, if we ask the permission of the customer to think about them differently, and what we've done over the last 18 months is figured out that we can use, through the consent of the consumer, their telco data record to help infer the ability to take on credit in our world. And for me, what gives my heart so much joy today is that of the 16 million people, this new technology will allow us to help almost 2 million people access the financial economy. And in my lifetime, in my legacy in this role as a CEO, if we can make a small dent in that 16 million unseen to let them be seen for the hopes and their dreams, then you know what? We've done really well as leaders. My hope now is I can convince leaders, the Lesakas, the large banks, the small banks, the fintechs, to say, we're going to provoke the system. We will try out these new techniques because if you try the old techniques, which is very comfortable, but like we did to break out of our circumstances growing up, we have to push the boundaries of what is normal. Because to make a dent in South Africa's legacy of inequality, highest income gene in the world, this kind of innovation is required. We've got to think far beyond what the world believes is normal, because normal is not good enough.
Leading an organization of the magnitude, history, stature of TransUnion Africa as CEO is not an easy job. And not just leading it, but changing it, driving it. What's that thing that's the underlying value that drives your effort in taking this business from what it was when you joined to the things that we see today?
It's really interesting because I never wanted this job, Lincoln. And it's very vulnerable to say so. Because I had an amazing job at my previous organization, doing amazing work. But one day, I just closed my eyes and I thought about this community I come from. And when we talk about data, data is interesting. And data can allow us to solve certain problems. One day it clicked for me. And I said to myself, it may be possible to solve problems that matter. Because when you start a new role as a CEO, you ask yourself, when you wake up every morning, what motivates you to come to work? And being a CEO is what got you the job. You want to get to a CEO. But now, why do you do this job? Why are you positive when everyone's negative? Because every morning I close my eyes and I think about starting my day. In fact, in my office, I built a massive banner, some 3 meters wide. It has a picture of a young child against a map of Africa. And it says, TransUnion, solving problems that matter. When I close my eyes, when I organize my thoughts every morning, I realize that the burden, the responsibility I have on my shoulders is to solve problems that matter. And the success we've enjoyed over the last 8 to 9 years is because I realized that to be a CEO is but for a point in time. To make a dent on solving these African problems, it's a legacy I'd like to leave behind. And there's nothing that can make me negative about what we do. And to take a business that's been around for 120 years
Yes.
and pivot it into this new African reality, it's a blessing. So I don't see it as punishment.
Yes.
I see it as an opportunity that's been entrusted to some of us, and I take it with both hands.
If young people in Chatsworth, Phoenix, Kwamashu, Lamontville, Kwazakele are listening to us now, what message would you give them who are in the same township schools we studied in and are surrounded by crime, drugs, violence today? What message would you give them that gives them a sense that it is possible that they could be sitting like this, having a conversation between two CEOs of large organizations, but it's, Boyki from Chatsworth and a Boyki from Kwazakele. How is that possible? What message would you give them?
I would say to this young black child, it is possible.
Yeah.
It starts with a sense of believing that it's possible. And when you start to believe it's possible, you then need to take that belief and do something with it. Earlier I said to you that I grew up in a time of no heroes. Today there are heroes, 31 years into our democracy. There is a Lincoln Mali from Kwazakela. There's a Naik from Chatsworth. There are many more people. If I was in front of a school telling the kids, I'd say by name, these are the heroes in your township. Start to look at them for inspiration. We didn't have the inspiration.
Yes.
We had a platform of provocation to be here today. But we are doing this today, Lincoln, so we can play the video for those kids to say, Lincoln broke out of his circumstance to be here today. So I would say it is possible. And by the way, here's an example.
Yes.
What you're doing today with this foundation is allowing the world to see that they are exemplars
Yes.
of what one could strive to be. This is what black excellence looks like. And it isn't the theory. It is now Lincoln's lived reality. And what you're doing, and I'm so proud to be associated with you, we are showing the young black child it is possible to break out.
Yes.
And that's what I do.
Ralph Waldo Emerson says, do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there's no path, right? And create a new path, right? Leave a new trail. You are a trailblazer. We thank your parents for giving you that provocation so that you can break out. And we want more young people to know they can break out. And when they break out, they must live a life of purpose. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Lincoln.
Thank you
Such
so
a
much.
privilege to be here.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.